The mission of Utahns Against Hunger is to create the political and the public will to end hunger in Utah. Well, we primarily focus on public policy advocacy, and by that I mean we work with the state agencies that administer the federal nutrition program. So for the Department of Workforce Services, we work on the food stamp program. We work on the Women, Infants, and Children program with the Department of Health. And then we work with the State Office of Education on summer food, school breakfast. And so one of the ways that we're working to end hunger in Utah is to do outreach for all those programs. So we make sure that people in emergency food pantries and people in low-income housing, that they know about these programs and know how to apply for them. And then on the policy side of things, we work to make sure that the state agencies who administer those programs don't change policy in a way that makes it more difficult for people to access them. We also work with our congressional delegation. For example, the Farm Bill is up for reauthorization this year, and there are some really terrible cuts in those programs for food stamps, and so we're working with our congressional delegation to make sure that they understand what the impact of those cuts would be. And then we also work with our state legislature to get funding for emergency food pantries and food banks. So like I mentioned, we work directly with our congressional delegation. So we do a lot of fact sheets about hunger and food insecurity in Utah. And so we share that information, the statistics, and the impact of the programs on low-income Utah families, and we communicate that information to our congressional delegation. We also work with city officials, so we have regular meetings with Mayor Becker to talk to him about the issue of hunger and food insecurity in Utah. We do things like we educate church groups and ask them to call their congressional delegation or their state legislators. We do a lot of presentations in political science classes and nutrition classes on the university level. We also have a project called Real Food Rising, which is an urban farming project that employs youth to grow food for emergency food pantries and soup kitchens. We also do a lot of outreach for these programs at emergency food pantries, and then we also help people enroll in food stamps. So we go to places where there may be people who are eligible for food stamps but aren't receiving them, and we help them apply. We can always use volunteers, and we have several volunteer opportunities. Our staff works at 2 different farmers markets that take food stamps. So the downtown farmers market, which is on Saturdays, and then the Murray farmers market, which is on Fridays and Saturdays. So we need help in the food stamp booth. People could run their food stamp card and they get these great little tokens. That's not one of them. They get these little tokens that are worth $1, and then they can buy fresh fruits and produce from local farmers. We also need volunteers to help us enroll people in the food stamp program several times a month, so people who can learn about food stamp policy and the steps that it takes to enroll people. We also have volunteer opportunities for Real Food Rising on our little farm. It's a very small farm. But people can also volunteer to help water water plants, water the garden. And right now we have about 1 acre of land that we're trying to clear and to make it ready for farming next year. So, looking at our website and looking at the volunteer opportunities there and calling our offices are, the best ways for people to get involved.